We feel like we're seeing an end to our hard work with this engine build. We got a couple more accessories to do and put together up on the bench, and then we'll be well on the road to putting this on the rest of the tractor. Today, we're going to work on the lift pump and the fuel tower. We're rounding up parts because we're going to start on the lift pump first. I'm going to round up these seals first. It takes two of them. They're the 4B9051, and that's the packing that goes on either side right here. I need a 2A3314 seal. And that part's been upgraded to a 7B0305. We're just putting a few finishing touches with some Scotch-Brite and clean some of this stuff up. And we're ready to put this together. D4400 book here. And I got a parts book here for a 4G series. I'm going to play cameraman today and let Dad put this together. We're putting a little bit of Marvel mystery oil on everything to lubricate it. We don't want to use a heavy grease or anything because this is a fuel system. And, well, Marvel mystery oil is kind of made for fuel systems.
Just a little bit on here. Put a little on this idler gear.
There we go. What do you got next?
Now the main body.
And you can't reverse this. It's doweled in here, so it only goes one way. And there's no gasket in between it. These are a machine surface, and they fit very tightly.
I put a little oil in those bodies. Now our cover plate. I'm upside down here.
There you go.
And a bolt.
And we got new lock washers on all those. New split lock washers, grade 8s. And Dad's going to say that these are torqued by
1.5 grunts.
Yeah. He's pretty good. He hits it very close doing it by hand. It's kind of become a competition we do.
Over here to the business end.
Yeah. And this is where the packing and everything's going to go. Caterpillar had numerous different types of these lift pumps. And for example, this is 4Gs. That's off of a 7J. And you can just see how drastically different they are immediately. And even in the book, there's pages and pages of different lift pumps in here. We thought we had everything in order here, but we forgot to do something. This is a little bit of a complex part because this gasket we need to make here actually goes up right to the edge of this hole here. And this seats over the top of the gasket, like so. So that gasket will be right underneath of there. And to compound everything, this is kind of offset a little bit. So it's not in the center. So we forgot to make a pattern for this before we put everything together, but we're getting it. And we know we have another hole to do up here in the top, but we'll get that after we get it on the pump.
I'm a little bit snug.
Snug is good. We can always trim it. It's Arts and Crafts Day here at LAOL.
Yes.
I think the art teacher would give you like a A-.
Probably a B.
A B?
Yeah, maybe.
Gonna work?
I think so.
It'll work. Fits in there nice and snug. I know Dad has 3 favorite tools at least around here. Number 1 being the torch, number 2 being the needle scaler, but number 3 is what?
My favorite gasket making hammer.
Yeah. And he's gonna tap out that top tool in the top of there.
I think we got it.
Top tool. He's going to tap out that top hole in the top of there. Now that piece is in the fuel system where it'll plug everything
That's why I stopped. I stopped short of completely poking it in there so I can get this pick in there and pull this guy out.
There we go.
Probably should put our gasket on.
Yep. Gasket goes next. And then everything else goes together because This has to go on the outside of the gasket. It actually shows that in the parts book here. Right here you can see that housing that comes out, and it actually dead ends right there, and then there's the gasket you can see right there. The retainer, that goes in there next, with the cup side up, just like that. And then your seal, which is kind of like a packing, goes on there next. And that's kind of...
Yeah, that's going to be a
little bit of a press fit. It's supposed to be tight.
Yeah, it's tight. We might want to take a socket, and we're going to have to, I think...
Well, we'll put this other retainer on there next, so we can push it on with that. There it goes.
There it goes.
Next, the spring goes on, and then that cap with the dish upwards. Then we got another one of those seals.
Probably.
And then
our cap.
Our cap. Those seals and packings are self-adjusting. The spring keeps tension on them. If they start to leak, the book says to pull them out and replace them. What keeps tension on it is this collar actually will seat in this groove in the fuel tower right here, and that'll hold the tension on it. I think our plan is just to put one bolt in here. We'll put the spring, everything together, press it down. Then we're just going to put a bolt through here and a washer that's going to hook on the side of this and tighten a nut down to hold it temporarily until we can get our gear pressed on here to hold everything together. And then once you put it on the fuel tower, it will compress this into a machined area. Yeah, that's where it's supposed to be. Okay.
Did you bring the wrench?
I don't know that I'm going to need it, really.
Probably not, if you just have it down tight. We'll back off slow and just see if it holds it down there. Think it's going to stay?
I think so. Try it.
All right, here we go. Yeah?
Huh? All right. Gonna have to go more.
Oh.
There we go. All right.
Okay.
I guess. It's going.
Is it?
Yeah. Oh, it's fine.
Is it looking good?
Yeah,
okay.
Pretty good. That gear will get to a stop.
Yeah, I'll feel it here. There it is.
Now we got to take our nut off. It's got a little spring tension in it because this isn't together. The gear should hold that on there.
There we go.
See, it worked. Spring tension kind of pushed that off, but that gear holds that in place. And when you put this into the housing, it's going to compress it again. And for demonstration, this is a one-off of 7J, and it's the same exact way. Next, we got the pop-off, which is if the pump's not using the fuel that it's sending, it kind of opens this up and lets it bypass. So that goes in there next. Okay. Then the spring. And then the cap. And that's 1 1/8 inches. Got the copper ring in there to seal it as well. There's a little plug that goes in here. We're going to put a little of this sensor safe thread sealant on there so we don't damage the sensors on this machine. Here, it started. Dad managed to get that sealant on everything.
The more I tried cleaning up, the worse it got.
And this plug is definitely not 3/8, and it's definitely not 7/16. It's definitely a croissant wrench. Next step, and I have the O-ring. This is the old one. It's mashed solid, but the new part number is a 7B035, and this ferrule goes in here, and that O-ring goes around that ferrule. So this still has the gasket on it right here, you can see, and that O-ring was sitting on top of the gasket. That's also how they show it in the parts book. So this O-ring is going to go around here on this ferrule. I got it around the ferrule. Now that'll seat in there. I think we're going to go ahead and put this on the fuel tower so we can get it ready for paint. You got to hold a lot of things together.
Yeah.
Gaskets, and that ferrule wants to come out of there because the only thing that holds all that together is that O-ring itself. We may have just been a little bit paranoid here and took it back off of there out of precaution, but I think it's going to self-align somewhat because if you put that O-ring on the ferrule and then put it on there. It really can't go anywhere else. We're going to let gravity help us here and leave that there. It should self-align relatively easily. The tolerances on all this stuff are very tight. We may or may not have to take this off again to get the gears to mesh up where it attaches to the governor, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. We're down to the point that that spring tension is holding it up just a little bit, so we need to tighten it down. We're going to put the covers and go ahead and put this fuel tower together. I've actually found a cat gasket for that one, and that is a 2A3356. Now, I didn't find one for this one, and that's probably because they changed these drastically when they went to the other disposable fuel system. And this one has a cast iron cover that's raised, and I'm guessing they did that to give it a little bit more extra capacity. The gasket maker extraordinaire is going to make one over here. This is the cap that goes on the top of the fuel tower. So Dad's going to make a gasket for that as well. Got the gasket Dad made for this, and here's the cap. Let's put it together. Yes, I know I'm going to have to get in here later to hook things up to the governor. I know that, but this way we can kind of get it painted and get it painted with everything together. I wanted to note another reason for this raised cover right here is an earlier feature on some of the probably RD4s before they became D4s. Right here, they actually had a smaller screen above and another screen that went through below. And it looks like they did away with that at 4G5141 and just went to the screen similar to what we have over here. And they just left that feature. That's also where the overflow goes and the fuel pump goes to pressurize the system and go through the filter. But you can also clean any large debris out by removing that cover that may accumulate in the bottom of the filter housing. This is the top of the fuel tower, and in these two compartments are spaces for what is a cleanable brass and copper and maybe bronze fuel filter. And what this is a very tightly woven spring coil in there. And the idea is that these could be placed in here. Fuel could flow through them. There's actually a gasket that goes around the top here, Dad's making right now. And you would pull these out. You could unscrew them, and the coils would open up, and you could clean them out. You can see down here how they're kind of opening up a little bit. Up in the very top, you can see there's some ports up there, and them can be opened and closed by turning the top of this ever so slightly, so you could have more flow or less, and it could be regulated in here. And yes, there's two of these that go in there. You can see those ports a little easier now. These have this gasket underneath of them that rides up here at the top. We've just made two new ones. They're just a fiber, and we're going to hang on to these because these are unobtainium, but they're good patterns to make new ones. So Dad's got a gasket on here. Then there's two springs, and this spring pressure is what holds these filters in here. And you can tell by the witness marks on the top of the cap, that's what holds the pressure in. This is the bushing for the bleeder that goes on the top. We've already taken it apart, cleaned it up, cleaned up the seat in there. So it's good. I put a little sealant on there. Here's your bleeder. There's a tiny port right here. You can see it from your side. That when you open up this needle valve, it'll let the air out to bleed it. We're going to put the plug in here up at the top. I'm not exactly sure, but Dad and I think that this hole is here. So you can stick a funnel in there and prime this whole system with some diesel. Well, that's done. Another part for the puzzle. And we can put it over here with the other stuff ready to paint. I do want to thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. We're in a good place here, and we're ready to start putting things on this engine. We've got a few more bench jobs to... That doesn't sound right. I feel like we're in a good place with this project. We got a few more things to put together up on the bench, and this engine's going to get full. That doesn't sound right either. We're in a good place. I feel like we're in a very good place with this project. This engine's getting close to being done. We got a few more things to put together on the bench that need to go on here, and we're well on our way. Usually they come to me, like, instantly.
We're getting towards the end of bolting on accessories.
Okay, I'll do that. We're getting towards the end here, and...
to where the end will be near for the completion of the engine build.
Okay, all right. Let me try this again. The end is almost near with the engine... Yeah, I don't know. I had a good breakfast. We feel like we're seeing an end to our hard work with this engine build. We got a couple more accessories to do and put together up on the bench, and then we'll be well on the road to put this on the rest of the tractor. Okay, I think I can keep that one. I'm going to put new nuts and lock washers on there, and yes, I got cat nuts. Man, I don't know that that sounded good.
You have Caterpillar hardware.
Yes. This is the 7B3305. Next step, and we have the old ring. You can... I'm off today.